Hey guys, I welcome you all on this course on Python programming tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about Python. So let's get started. So first of all, what is Python? So Python is a high-level dynamically typed programming language. Python supports multiple programming paradigms including object-oriented, imperative, functional, and procedural styles. Now Python is an interpreted language. So what do we mean by interpreted? To understand this, we need to understand the difference between the compiled languages and the interpreted languages. So some languages like C, C++, Java are all translated by running the source code through a tool called compiler. This compilation of source code results in a very efficient bytecode that can be executed any number of times. Now, interpreted languages like Python, in contrast, must be parsed, interpreted, and executed each time the program is run, thereby greatly adding the cost of running the program. So, a compiled language takes the entire program as a single input and converts it into machine code or byte code, which is stored in a file called a binary file. On the other hand, interpreted languages like Python takes the single instruction as single input and execute that instruction. Now, compiled languages run faster because compilation is done before the execution. On the other hand, interpreted programs run slower because compilation and execution takes place simultaneously. In case of Python, even though it's an interpreted language, but it's really fast. Now, Python supports dynamic data types. And to understand this, we need to understand the difference between statically typed programming languages and dynamically typed programming languages. So, at statically typed programming languages do the type checking at the compiled time as opposed to the real time, and dynamically typed programming languages do type checking at runtime as opposed to compile time. So let's say you declare a variable x is equal to 9 in Python. Python will do its type checking at runtime, whether it's an integer or a string or a double value. All will be done at the runtime. Now, Python is independent from platforms. That means it's a cross-platform programming language. That means you can run your Python code on Windows, Linux, Mac, or on any other Unix operating system. Now, Python focuses on faster development time. So Python code has a very natural style to it, which makes it easy to read and understand thanks to the lack of semicolons and braces. So we don't use semicolons or braces in Python. That means faster development time, especially when you are doing some prototyping work. Python is a highly readable language and has a clean visual layout. So if a developer writes a very efficient Python program, it's like reading English language. Now, Python have high-level internal object data types and have automatic memory management. And at last, Python is free and open source. That means you don't need to pay anything to start learning Python. Now let's talk about some history about Python. So Python was conceived in late 1980s and its implementation began in December 1989 by a developer called Guido van Rossum in Netherlands as a successor of a programming language called ABC. Now, Guido van Rossum worked at Google from 2005 to December 2012, where he spent half of his time in the development of Python programming language. And nowadays, Van Rossum is working in a company called Dropbox. And from where this Python name come from? Rossum chose the name Python since he was a big fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. So Python was first publicly released in February 1991, and python.org, which is the official website of Python, was released in the time period between 1996 and 1997. In the year 2001, Python Software Foundation was created and Van Rossum remained the principal author of Python. His continuing central role in Python development is reflected in the title given to him by Python community, which is Benevolent Director of Life. Now, what is a Benevolent Director of Life? This is a title given to small number of open source software development leaders, typically the project founders, who retain the final say in the dispute or arguments within the community. So why learn Python? Because Python is fun to use scripting language. And as I said, Python is a multi-paradigm programming language which supports object-oriented, imperative, functional programming and procedural styles. That means it's highly recommended for the educational purpose. So majority of educational institutes use Python as the first language which they teach to their students. And why it's the first choice of educational institutes? Because it's very easy to learn and it runs on any platform. Now Python is very powerful, scalable and easy to maintain programming language which enables high productivity, and it has lots and lots of inbuilt libraries which a developer can use. Python is also used as a glue language which acts as an interactive front end for the languages like C and C++. So when you develop in Python, it reduces the development time, it reduces the code length, it is easy to learn and use as a developer. It is easy to understand codes, it is easy to do team projects in Python, and it's really easy to extend to other languages if you are using Python. So where can you use Python? So because Python is a general purpose programming language, it is used in many web development frameworks. For example, Django and Flask recently became very popular for web development. Now, Python is also widely used in scientific computing, data mining and machine learning. And continued growth and demand for machine learning developers may be driving the popularity of Python. Now, as I said, Python is used as a scripting language. That means if you are doing prototyping, it's really efficient to use Python. Python is also used in the development of graphical user interfaces, embedded applications, gaming and DevOps tools. And at last, as I said, because Python is really easy to learn, it's used for educational purposes as the first programming language for teaching programming. Now the question arises, which version of Python should you learn? Python 3 or Python 2? So I would recommend Python 3 since it's more modern and it is a more popular option at this point of time. So I will be teaching this course in Python 3. So this was a brief introduction about Python. From the next video, I'm going to show you how to install Python and how to use Python as a programming language. So stay tuned for the next video and bye for now.